I just came from a tech conference in Europe, and one topic came up over and over again, and we just have to talk about it. It was even that big of a deal that we had a fishbowl discussion about this. My name is Till Carlos, and my team and I, we document how we build products. And today we want to talk about the economics of hiring junior developers. There's one thing I want to explain, and I doubt that many juniors think about this in the same way. So I wanted to give the perspective from a business owner. And in order to explain this, we need to open Excalidraw and just look into how the economics usually work for hiring and training junior developers. Let's make a quick sketch about the timeline and the payout of any kind of hiring. Let's assume this is the timeline of getting hired here over the course of the whole employment. Usually, and this is the case for any kind of employee, it usually takes some time for the training. So this is the training area here. And this axis is the time, and this axis is the output for the business owner, the return on invest. And usually any kind of employment first starts with going a bit into the red, so having a negative ROI at least for some time. But let's say for juniors, this is like this area here. And then after some time, the ROI then gets positive. Let's move this in here. So this is very general, and this applies to any kind of business that hires people and trains people. Because usually anytime you onboard someone, the business owner does not get a return on the labor right away. It usually always takes some time. And let's say in restaurants, I heard this could be like a month, this could be a week. For any kind of more professional labor that is very directed on a certain task, the payout can be even higher. Let's say if you ask someone to code your website, the payout could be very fast without any kind of training. For junior developers, now this is a bit longer. So roughly, this is how the graph looks. And now there's one thing about the developers which makes them unique, or let's not say unique, but that makes them different from other labor, is that a developer works inherently with leverage. Leverage means the input is multiplied by a certain output, by a certain leverage in order to produce output. We use code and processors and computers in order to have a higher leverage. This is the whole point of coding. If you write a bit of code, you have much more impact in some kind of usage context than you would have by just doing the labor manually. So developers come with leverage. Now the problem is, usually let's say if this is the salary you would pay the employee, the salary you always need to pay the salary, right? So the output then comes here. So this is like the difference between the salary and the output. This is the area where the profit is being made for the business. Now the junior developer would also come with a leverage, and the leverage, we can overlay this here. So let's say you put a junior developer into a production project. The junior would cost you a certain amount of money, but they would also waste the time of the other people in the team and potentially induce bugs into the code. So what does the business owner, what are the options of the business owner? So you could say, okay, let's throw away the work of the junior, and let's say let's keep this down to here. But in any case, whatever you do, if you probably don't want the junior to induce bugs into the production code. So let's say what you can do is move this here, and then once the junior is educated, then you get the leverage here, and now you're happy. Okay, so this is basically how a business owner sees the economics of a junior. You always have to pay the salary, and then you get the leverage out later on. If a business owner would hire a senior right away, they would have a different economic curve, right? So let's have a look. If you just copy this. So a senior would have a very short onboarding phase and would cost much more. And then the senior here would, always have the salary, but the senior would then produce an ROI much faster. This is basically what a business owner thinks about the economics. Now the question is, of course, how can a junior use that to their advantage? How can a junior use this knowledge in order to get hired faster and maybe even get a better deal on the job? Just like with the senior who leads less onboarding time, the junior can also have the dial of the learning time. So if the junior is able to decrease the learning time here and is therefore faster to produce an output that can be used, that means that the output, the surface under the square, is higher and the surface here is lower. So the business owner has an output that's faster, that comes earlier. This is the one thing they can do. But of course, how do you decrease the learning time? What I did when I got hired for my first job, I just learned on the weekends. I just put all the time I had into what I was doing there. And even later on, when I was hired for something else as a freelancer, that was 2018, like 6 years ago now. Even then, I would make my own project on the weekend and I would just cram as much time as I could into coding so that this learning time would go down. This is definitely a feasible option and something I would expect from every junior to consider. Because if you're only learning on the job, then you might not even have enough time in order to produce the output. So it's a complex world. Putting as much time to learning is a good first lever to pull. The second time is long-term payback. And this is something, it's a bit of a sensitive topic because everybody should have their fair salary and stuff, but it's just reality. I'm just talking about reality here. So the salary of the junior, as we say, let's put this like this we had before. So junior has a salary like this, and the senior here has a salary which is much higher. So the senior salary is being set right in the beginning, okay? The business owner makes the money here after the junior produces value. So the senior is expensive all the time. And of course, the junior will get their salary bump at one point, but it's still going to be lower than the senior salary. So the business owner thinks, okay, well, I'm going to educate this person, I'm going to invest into that person, and then I would have more time paying a bit less because out of reasons. For example, the person feels comfortable at the company and is comfortable with not having the super high salary right now and getting the salary bump a bit later, just because they kind of still have the mindset of a junior in terms of what the salary is, but they produce the output of a senior. If you're a senior and you're watching this is the reality. This is what business owners think. It might be controversial, and that's totally cool. And it's also totally fine for you to, of course, quit and find a better job, like sell yourself as a senior right here. And this is something that business owners will look for as well. How is the interview going in the beginning? What do you look for? If some business owner thinks that you only want to learn as fast as you can and then jump to the next opportunity, this time will be short, so the business owner doesn't have confidence that the payout will be high enough. So the one thing that you can also do is have an honest discussion with the person hiring you and say, look, I want to stay for a long time and I'm happy to invest into my own learning. And I know my salary won't be like super high right away, but I would like to have an ongoing discussion about this so that we both can have a successful outcome of this. So basically giving confidence to the business owner that the payout, that you're going to stick at this company, stick around for some time. The second lever, and I think this is very valuable. Okay, long-term payback for the business owner. Number 3 is decrease the learning cost. That's something I have a tip in a bit as well, how you can decrease the learning cost yourself. But basically the idea is this. Before I talked about that potentially there will be bugs introduced into code if someone is not proficient in the code yet, or it would take the team time that the juniors would waste with the other seniors. Okay, so this is this problem here. This is why it's actually more expensive to hire a junior. It's not just the salary, it's actually more than that, because you're wasting other people's time. And I just had this example with a junior in my team who wasted my time, which is fine in general, like this is part of the deal, but I gave him a couple of tips what he could do in order to decrease the time that I would need to review the code. And there's something super simple, and it's the answer to a lot of problems we currently have. It's ChatGPT. So what he would code is this thing here, agent API setup, and he wrote a couple of validations in here. And I saw the code and I thought, well, it's not bad, but it has a problem, and I could now explain to him why that is. And of course, yeah, I could have, but I thought, hey, what would ChatGPT say? And now this is a prompt that someone can use in order to just do a code review even before asking some other team member. It's just that. Hey, I'm a Rails junior. My boss asked me every time before I push code, just help me with this. Help me what I could do better before I asked a human to review my code. And what came here, I mean, some things did not exactly work because for some reason ChatGPT didn't pick it up. So here, I had to go a bit. So do you actually need this? So I actually had to ask a bit more, but the approach is clear. And if I don't ask this, then at least I could have told the reviewer, hey, I asked ChatGPT already. They said it's fine. Like, what do you think now? Just by doing this, you save a lot of time the reviewer, and then what would happen is that this cost goes down, and probably as well, you would decrease the learning time at the same time. I wanted to make this content because I think it's important for juniors to understand this. And so this just came from a discussion I had during a Scrum sprint kickoff, because we're now making a small product and we are building it with my management and my supervision and code reviews. And yeah, 2 juniors work on this project. So if you want to see how this is going, subscribe to my channel and see what things we come up with. We build a lot of content just around this topic. And if you're a junior, let me know if you agree with this. I would really love your opinion. Send me a message on X or on YouTube, and see you in the next videos.